Hey, what is up, everybody? In today's video, I'm going to be going through my Xbox One collection of games. So my Xbox One collection is fairly puny, all things considered. Um, as you can see here, it's mostly consists of Call of Duty games and some other miscellaneous title here and there. I actually did have one other game that I wanted to show, but honestly, I couldn't be bothered because it's a pain to get it out. The game in question is Starlink Battle for Atlas. It was basically Ubisoft's attempt at a Toys to Life game, but they came in way too late and it completely flopped hard. Or I guess it was a commercial failure because ultimately I found the copy that I got was from Dollarama, a popular Canadian dollar store chain, for $4. The game costed 100 bucks at launch, by the way, and I saw on the shelves copies of the starter pack with the for the both the Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, as well as the PS4 versions, just sitting there for $4. And honestly, if it weren't for the fact that it was $4, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. And especially since the anything that everything that sorry all versions that isn't the Switch version is inferior by default because the Switch version had uh, Star Fox characters in it, uh, and it wasn't like they were cameos. No, they were actually integrated into the story, which is actually really interesting. But yeah, the Nintendo Switch version of the game is like considered the definitive version of Starlink Battle for Atlas. So if you're planning to play the game, just get it on Switch. Content wise, it is the best. Maybe not the best like resolution and frame rate wise, but overall, you are getting like objectively the definitive experience there. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Starlink Battle for Atlas. Let's actually talk about the games I do have in front of me. Um, okay, let's actually start from top to bottom here and go over them individually. So this is not actually an Xbox One game, but it's been repackaged as if it were one. Red Dead Redemption Game of the Year Edition. This was an Xbox 360 game um, that came out in like 2010, I believe, or 2011. I don't remember. I don't know exactly. I got a sequel many years later. Ended up also being very well received. But what's interesting about this game is that it's the reason it's been repackaged like this is because it is an Xbox 360 game that is backwards compatible on an Xbox One, with added improvements like higher resolution, not higher frame rate. Sadly, as far as I can tell, it is just the Xbox 360 version running uh, on better hardware. Uh, it did get a PS4 and a Nintendo Switch port later on, as well as a port to PC. But until those ports came out, this was considered like the best way to play the game, objectively speaking. Comes on two discs, of course, because it is the Xbox 360. Um, the Xbox 360 could could only use DVDs, it could not contain like all the data on the disc on one disc, so they had to use multiple discs. It just so and it just so happens that for the copy I got, they just reprinted it with the Xbox One logo on it. Nothing, nothing really special, but it is neat to have nonetheless, especially since you have what other game has Xbox One and Xbox 360 at the top? Very few, if any. Next game. This one does not have a cover, and I don't know the exact reasoning for that, but I actually did a video on this, and the game in question is Life is Strange Before the Storm. This is the second game in the Life is Strange series. I believe it's a prequel. based on the title. I haven't actually played it yet, but it also comes with the first episode of Life is Strange. Sorry, it comes with Life is Strange episode 1 as well, which is interesting. Uh, because because that's actually free. You can actually the first episode of the first game is free. It has these games had an episodic release model, which was popular amongst these types of games until Telltale Games went bankrupt. But yeah, uh, I am aware that the first game is really good. Second game, I don't quite. Well, I think it got decent reviews, but then the next couple of games, True Colors, and then Double Exposure, uh, was not all that as well received, sadly. But yeah, I have it. I got this because Toys R Us was getting rid of their video game stock because they no longer wanted to sell video games, and I ended up picking this game up. So yeah, it's now in my collection. Um, Speaking of getting cheap games, yeah, I got Battlefield 5 over here, or Battlefield V, however you want to pronounce it, for $1. I already have Game Pass, so I did not need this, but I mean, come on, it's $1. You really can't go wrong here. You know, $1 for a Battlefield game, uh, that's an excellent deal no matter who you are. I know people have had some very harsh things to say about this game's initial trailer, but I heard this game did get better towards the end of its life cycle, but then of course they dropped support for it in favor of developing the next game, Battlefield 2042, which ended up becoming uh, a massive, massive disappointment to say the very least. But yeah, that's Battlefield 5. Next up, Rare Replay. This is a compilation of 30 games, 31 if you get the digital edition. So, and I'll get to that in a second. So 2015 rolled around. Microsoft introduced the backwards compatibility program where they were bringing over a bunch of Xbox 360 games to the Xbox One, and Rare Replay was basically a testing ground for that for the new emulator that they were using. And so a lot of these games you see here, specifically the Xbox 360 games, are running on that emulator. Which is why when you insert the Rare Replay disc inside, a whole bunch of Xbox 360 logos will show up. It's because it's essentially just a disc containing those games running through an emulator, essentially. With the rest of the game, um, I guess running on its own separate emulator, I wouldn't know for certain. But yeah, it is a nice little, a really really nice collection. Of course, you got Perfect Dark, which sadly got uh, is a franchise that's basically dead now, as far as I can tell, because they just canceled the reboot. Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo Kazooie, amongst many others as well. Let's actually, yeah, you can see them right here: Jet Force Gemini, Battletoads, so on and so forth. And as I did mention, the digital version contains 31 games, and that is because a number of years ago, uh, a deal was made to bring GoldenEye 007 to the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch. And as part of the deal, a remastered version of GoldenEye 007 was made for free for digital owners of Rare Replay. They wanted to include it for physical owners as well, but they couldn't do it. But fortunately, um, you can also experience the game through Game Pass as well, assuming you have that subscription service, which I will be talking more about later on. But yes, if you do want to play GoldenEye 007 on the Xbox One or Series, just get Rare Replay because you will be entitled uh, to GoldenEye as well. And Rare Replay has gone on sale quite often for less than $10, which is really nice. So that's 30 games for less than $1 each. That is an amazing deal. But yes, moving on. We have an Xbox signature franchise, Forza Horizon 3. This was an Xbox One console exclusive released back in, I believe, 2016. I'll be honest, I never quite got into the Forza games just yet. I still need to play Forza Horizon 2 and some previous entry and maybe play some of the Forza Motorsports games as well. I do like to go in some sort of order just so I can really get a sense of progression for these franchise in terms of like improvements. I actually, I ended up picking this up because I knew it would be hard to get at some point because this game was delisted off of the Xbox store, so the only other way you can get it now is through a physical copy. That's just the nature of these racing games, sadly, because they do use real vehicles in them. So um, after a certain amount of time, they do have to get delisted. So that's why I ended up getting this. Next up, we have Borderlands 3 Super Deluxe Edition. This includes a steelbook for the game, as well as the season pass and some deluxe bonus content. I do actually regret getting this because they did later on release um, the Ultimate Edition for the PS5 and Xbox Series console, but also I just haven't even bothered to finish the first two games yet. Again, you don't necessarily need to play them, but I do like to play them for the sake of getting a sense of how much the games innovate in between sequels. And unfortunately, the Borderlands franchise is a franchise I haven't quite um, finished or gone far into as much as I would like to. And yeah, the consequences now I have this steelbook that's just sitting here, um, withering away. And to really add insult to injury, the game was made available for free on the Epic Game Store. So, and I think it was also made available on one of the other subscription services as well. I think it was on Game Pass at some point. I'm not sure about PS Plus, but I did get a free copy of it on the Epic Game Store. So I don't really need this. But I mean, hey, I guess the steelbook is nice, and the season pass is nice as well. But I could do without that. I could have saved my money, but oh well. Next up, it's just two franchises, Titanfall and Titanfall 2. So the first game was released back in 2014 during the launch period of the Xbox One. I picked this up a number of years ago, and I quite enjoyed it. Although I kind of wish the game had its own single player campaign because the story is told in this very unorthodox manner where you have characters chatting during multiplayer matches. But of course, depending on the arena that you're playing in, or the map that you're playing in, it's the story is not going to make a lot of sense because it's told you have to play certain maps in a certain order for the story to make sense. But yeah, this game was made by Respawn Entertainment, which was founded by the same people who did the original Modern Warfare 2 from 2009 before they ended up getting fired from Activision and moving on to make this franchise. And you can clearly tell there was a lot of effort placed into this because what ended up happening was the sequel, Titanfall 2, which came out to almost 3 years later, I should say, had a lot of passion put into it. I got this sealed copy for $4, and that is because the game sold rather poorly. Um, so a lot of copies ended up in the dollar store unfortunately, because of the timing of its release. It got banned between the release of Battlefield 1, another EA game, as well as Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, which came along with it. So yeah, this game kind of got the short end of the stick, which is a bit unfortunate because the single player campaign is good, and multiplayer has seen a bit of a resurgence recently. You still got plenty of people playing on it. I mean, 2000 isn't much, but it's still something for a game that's almost 9 years old now. Uh, there was, there is, unfortunately, some bad news for Titanfall 3 as the chances of it being made grow slimmer by the day since Apex Legends, a spin-off of Titanfall, kind of superseded it in some ways, and a lot of stuff has happened. There's been layoffs, there's been cancellations, so chances are we're probably not going to get Titanfall 3 for a very, very long time, if ever, which sucks. But hey, I mean, I definitely recommend playing the single player campaign at the very least. It is a good campaign. But yeah, that's Titanfall, and next up is nothing but Call of Duty games, because I do play a lot of Call of Duty. So let's actually go in the actual release order. So let's actually start from the bottom here. If I can just pull. Okay, so first up is Advanced Warfare, released in 2014. This was the first of the futuristic era of Call of Duty. Um, so on the back here we have We have now disgraced actor Kevin Spacey, who at the time was a very, very popular and recognizable actor before his downfall. So he is the main villain of the game. If you couldn't already tell by the reveal trailer, yeah, it's not really a spoiler. He was the villain of the game. Um, the campaign took place in between like the 2050s and 2060s. Introduced like the double jump, which kind of made the franchise a little bit more gimmicky and luck based because you were basically bouncing around the map. Um, due to the more vertical nature of the games. I personally enjoyed it, although I kind of wish the single player missions were a bit more open, because it really feels like the exo movements or exo abilities could have been utilized a bit more if we had a much more broader environment to work with. But unfortunately, this game seemed to have been constrained by the fact that it was also a cross-gen release. So it got ports to PS3 and Xbox 360, so the scope of the game ended up getting quite limited. And overall, there was just a lot of other things as well that dragged this game down. The Exo Zombies mode, I believe, or Exo Survival mode, one of those modes was locked behind a paywall, which really sucks. Um, and I also believe this is the last Call of Duty game uh, with which Microsoft had exclusive rights to had timed exclusive content with, because moving on with the next game, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, or in this case the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombie Chronicles Edition. This is when the timed exclusivity content went over to PlayStation, as the Xbox brand was starting to really struggle or show signs of struggle at the time. Um, but as for the game itself, this is a very odd game, because on one hand you have the most content-packed zombies experience the franchise has ever had up to this point, probably the absolute best the zombies has ever been, period. The multiplayer was fun, although the servers were dead even like 3 years after the game released, at least on Xbox. But then you have the single player, which left a lot to be desired. So With the Modern Warfare trilogy, at least the original trilogy, the stories all tied into to each other. Black Ops 3 had nothing to do with the previous two entries at all. It may have thrown a few one-liners here and there, but aside from that, it had nothing to do with it. And the story went in a very, very uh, unexpected direction, which I think left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Spoiler warnings: you were dead the whole time. Nothing past the first mission mattered because because you're dead. That's the story, and which is a damn shame because gameplay wise, it's actually really good. It's just um, I if I don't have a good story there, really I just can't care. But yeah, that's Black Ops 3, and we'll talk more about Black Ops in a minute. But next up, we have Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the Legacy Pro Edition. Actually, this is actually a steelbook um, edition of the game, which comes with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare as well as the season pass for the game, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, specifically the campaign and 10 multiplayer maps. The reason they're specifying that is because, unlike a lot of remasters, which comes with all the previously released content in one package, this remaster opted to just release the campaign and 10 multiplayer maps, with the Variety Map Pack being sold separately and even more expensive than the original Variety Map Pack from 2007. Yeah, which really sucks. But yeah, Infinite Warfare, this game, what can I say? This game got a bad reputation from the moment it was revealed because people were getting really sick of the futuristic era of Call of Duty. So yeah, the trailer ended up becoming one of the most disliked trailers on YouTube, period. And it really didn't help that Modern Warfare Remastered was also released alongside it, because what ended up happening was it split the player base. Like, you had people who were more interested in playing Modern Warfare Remastered than Infinite Warfare, and what's and but what's worse is that if you wanted to play Modern Warfare Remastered, you had to buy the more expensive edition of Infinite Warfare to get it. You could not buy Modern Warfare Remastered separately for the first 6 or so months of release, and and it's even worse for PlayStation 4 owners because for the PlayStation 4 version of the game, Modern Warfare Remastered is included as a one-time code in a box. Whereas with the Xbox One version, the license for Modern Warfare Remastered is on the disc for Infinite Warfare. You just have to download Modern Warfare Remastered, but uh, you don't have to deal with that one-time use code like the PlayStation version, which really sucks. Although it is worth mentioning, the season pass is still on a code, so that's worth mentioning. But yeah, this was a disaster, um, and it ultimately prompted the franchise to move away from the more futuristic um, gadgets, sort of, because the next entry, Call of Duty World War II, was seen as a massive course correction. They tried to appeal to older fans of the franchise who had gotten in with the World War II era of Call of Duty games, but honestly, this game was very forgettable. I mean, for one thing, for a game called World War II, it is rather unfortunate that it only includes the American campaign and nothing else. That's it. Like, you couldn't have you could like past games, even Call of Duty World at War from 2008 had you following both the American and Russian side of the story. So why not this game? What's this game's excuse? I mean, the game itself, I'm sure is fine. It's just it could have been about a lot more. Is all. And for me personally, I just didn't care about this game because because of the aforementioned reasons, but also this was a blatant attempt, in my opinion, for them to basically make a massive U-turn for the franchise, and I didn't. It just didn't resonate with me. Next up, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 4, specifically the Pro Edition, also which also comes with a steelbook and some physical goodies as well. Yeah, I got this. I did a video on this. I actually got this for $30. So this edition of the game comes with the Black Ops Pass, basically the season pass. But prior to this, they would release the DLC, the season pass in 4 parts, with players being given the ability to buy a season pass to get all the content. But with Black Ops 4, they opted to change things. You could not buy the content separately. You had to buy the Black Ops Pass to get any DLC content, which upsetted a lot of players at the time. But what also really upsetted me was the lack of campaign, because they basically scrapped it in favor of a Battle Royale mode, because Battle Royale games at like Fortnite and PUBG were very popular around this time, and Call of Duty was trying to get in on it with its blackout mode, which conceptually seemed nice, but for me, at the time, I thought it was a cynical attempt at just trying to chase a trend, especially since the blackout mode required that you pay full price for this game, a game that doesn't even have a single player campaign. So yeah, that really didn't help. And to add insult to injury, I also found like the visuals in blackout mode really washed out. Clearly, this was obviously done because they had to accommodate 100 players, 100 plus players, in the same map at the same time. So the visuals did take a hit, and yeah, that kind of it, and the fact that the battle royale mode wasn't a free to play really rubbed me the wrong way. So I obviously did not pick it up until I saw the Pro Edition on sale for $30. Really, if it weren't for that, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But yeah, moving on. Next, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, as it's been nicknamed, to distinguish it from the original 2007 game and 2016 remaster, and the Nintendo Wii port titled Reflex Edition, but you get the point. Yeah, this was a soft reboot of the franchise. I actually got this game at release and played the campaign, and then immediately traded the game in after finishing the campaign. Yeah, I know, I'm that kind of guy. But as for the campaign itself, I actually did enjoy it at the time. And really, in my opinion, felt like it was worthy of bearing the Modern Warfare title in its name. And it left me feeling optimistic for the future, I guess. I expected the sequels would be just as good, but unfortunately that was not the case. In some ways, specifically the story. The story, like this is if this game is Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the next 2 games are basically this are basically The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. They just nosedive in quality in terms of story, sadly. But as for this game itself, it was a breath of fresh air, some would say, and I kind of have to agree. Added some new things, like something as basic as opening doors, but they also overhauled the game engine, and of course the battle royale mode, which came out 6 months after release, almost 6 months after release, was free to play, which was really nice. But at the same time, however, the Spec Ops mode was a big letdown, and the introduction of the aforementioned Warzone brought in a lot of other issues as well, which I'll touch on in a moment. But yeah, this was a good start to the reboot trilogy, or reboot saga. But moving on, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now, this is actually the Series X copy of the game, but it also includes the Xbox One version, which is really nice. It's actually the only Xbox Series game I have in my entire collection, technically. But yeah, you can usually tell it's an Xbox Series game because the word Xbox Series comes first before Xbox One. They kind of did it in a very confusing way. More specifically, an inconsistent way because some games they would just have the Xbox at the top, but none of these two words at the bottom here to help people distinguish whether it was an Xbox One or a Series X game. Not to jump the gun too much here, but yeah, if you take a look over at Vanguard, you can see Xbox One comes first, and then Xbox Series comes afterwards, and then it'll say at the bottom, Xbox One game playable on Series X. But unlike Cold War, which comes with both Xbox One and Series X version, Vanguard only comes with the Xbox One version, which just so happens to be backwards compatible on a Series X. But yeah, Black Ops Cold War, launch title for the Xbox Series consoles. Um, this is where I think the decline of the franchise on last gen hardware or Xbox One kind of starts showing because this is where the game starts to really resemble a slightly worser version of an existing game. Like, it doesn't feel like it was made for the system. Feels like it was backported to the older system. Um, More specifically, it feels like they made it for Series X first and then ported it backwards, as opposed to say um, making it for Xbox One first and then porting it over to the Series console. Although you could argue that's kind of what happened, but even then, I noticed the technical performance about starting back in Modern Warfare 2019 started to really deteriorate because of the inclusion of Warzone. Since development of Warzone was taking up so much time, obviously they had less time to really play test a lot of this new content, all the new content that we're adding to the game, and as such, the games ended up at the end of their life cycle running rather poorly, with all sorts of bugs and glitches, visual bugs and glitches present, which is rather indicative of a lot of live service games where they don't optimize it as well as they should because they got to keep churning out new content. And this is where things got really messy as well because um, with the inclusion of Warzone, in you essentially had to have the Modern Warfare 2019 application installed to play it. But if you wanted to play Cold War, well, you had to have its own. It was basically its own separate app. So you basically, if you wanted to switch between Black Ops Cold War multiplayer and Warzone, you're basically switching between two different games as opposed to switching between two different modes. And there's also all sorts of balancing issues. And the introduction of like skill-based matchmaking. I can go on, but plenty of other YouTubers have talked about it, so I won't dwell too much on the detail, more so than I already have. But I will say, it was a nice return to form for the Black Ops games. You know, they put the subtitle Cold War to indicate that this game was going to be featuring the characters from the first two Black Ops game, as well as the inclusion of new characters, specifically Russell Adler, most notably, who interestingly enough is the original voice of Master Chief from the Halo franchise. But yeah, it I haven't actually finished the campaign, although I have seen footage of it. It does seem interesting to say the very least. And I had a lot of fun with the multiplayer too. And the multiplayer theme is really good. Zombies also. Oh yeah, the zombies mode. Yeah, this is when they started introducing the open world zombies, and I thought it was fine enough, but unfortunately, it kind of goes downhill after this game. And speaking of after this game, yeah, Vanguard. The Zombies mode was very bare bones when it came out because Treyarch, developers of this game, were basically forced to make the Zombies mode at the last possible minute, and the results show. Campaign was a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people because while it tried to remedy the problem with World War II by having you play from multiple perspectives. Um, some of the writing was not that great, and the way they tied the story together wasn't that great either. Um, Multiplayer was just, well, it was basically just Modern Warfare 2019, but with World War II guns. And like I said, I've already mentioned the technical issues as well. Like this is where technical issues start to really ugly head on Xbox One, and it only gets worse from here. Um, but yeah, Vanguard. I got this for $10. Would not have gotten it otherwise if it weren't. I actually did want to get the Xbox Series version of the game, since you know, it also includes both Xbox One and Series consoles version, but I didn't get it. I had to settle with this instead. But yeah, that's it for my Xbox One physical collection. Um, I I do have quite a large digital collection, but I think I'll probably save that for a separate video. This video has certainly gone on long enough anyways, and I don't want to drag it out any further. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my Xbox One physical collection, guys. As always, if you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Good night.